I was going through a really tough time in my life. I had felony warrants. I had been in the paper for the warrant roundup numerous times. They were really after me because just being a criminal.
I was previously married. That ended up being a really toxic, unhealthy relationship to the point where I found myself using meth. I wasn't with my kids anymore. They were staying with family members, and I was just on the streets basically, not knowing day to day where I would be. And then that's when I met my current husband, Marty.
We didn't mean to fall in love by no means. Like I was just getting out of this really nasty relationship, and she was in a marriage also.
And it was the last thing that either one of us were looking for was a relationship.
I was clean and sober for a while, and I tried getting her pregnant.
I knew pretty quickly that I was pregnant.
And when I found out Tara was pregnant, it was mixed emotions. You know, it was like, I've always wanted to be a dad, but at the same time, this is bad timing.
I felt a lot of shame and guilt about it because I wasn't with my two older boys. I was still married. It just was not ideal whatsoever.
I knew what the plan was going to be. We went to Planned Parenthood.
Planned Parenthood helped locate somebody that was going to give us grants to cover the abortion. At this point, I was too far along and would have to go to Yakima to get the procedure done. I had a dream one night, and in my dream I had this beautiful baby girl, and her name was Madison, and I can still picture her. She had just the brightest blue eyes and dark hair, and she was just like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. But we had been using drugs the whole time, and she probably wasn't okay. I was just scared and nervous and just wanted it over with so I could start moving on.
The night before we went to bed, it was hard to sleep. You know, I think we knew our time had come, you know, for us to carry through with this.
We woke up, we looked outside, and there was just a ton of snow, and we were like, what in the world? There hasn't snowed in like 2 months.
And I saw that it was snowing. I was like, no way.
I mean, they were telling people, like, use chains, don't drive. And we were like, how are we gonna make it there in our little sports car with racing tires?
We called the clinic that was gonna do it, and they said that if we didn't make it today, it wasn't gonna happen.
And so I said, well, what about next week? And they said, we are closed all next week. I can't let the baby grow that much more and feel it moving in there. And Marty's like, well, what do you want to do? And I said, well, let's call that place your sister keeps telling us about. They'll know what to do because they were going to help us anyways with an abortion.
My sister tricked me. I thought that Open Arms was going to help fund an abortion. And when we went there, it was obvious that they were anti-abortion.
To make it even more unideal situation, Marty had warrants for his arrest. So he's on the run.
I didn't go into public places very often, like stores or anything. I just didn't do that because that's how I had to get recognized. I told them my situation, and they calmed me down right away. You know, we're only here for the baby, you know, and to help you guys, like, throughout this pregnancy, whatever you guys choose to do.
And she says to us, do you know how they're gonna do this? And I said no, and she tells us. And I mean, both Marty and I were sitting there with our jaws dropped, like, what? Like, we can't do that. There's no way we can do that. But I don't think this baby's gonna be okay though. We've been doing drugs this whole time. She says, well, we have an ultrasound tech on site. Let's see what the baby looks like. So she takes us in, we're getting the ultrasound done, and I look up at the screen and I was like, Marty, look at the screen. And the name of the ultrasound machine that they were using was Madison. And the nurse, we tell her about my dream, and she says, my daughter's name is Madison. And I was like, this is crazy. This is really weird. We left there that day. I'll never forget the way I felt. I just felt like healing, and I felt like we're gonna be okay. Obviously, we're having a baby girl, and her name's gonna be Madison.
Tara thought it was going to be a girl, but it turns out it was a boy. When after Marty was born, I was so full of joy. He was perfect. He was. He is.
I'm just so thankful for open arms that day. It feels like my heart's being ripped out when I look at him, and I think that we almost didn't have him. You know, I can't imagine my life without him.
I was on the run for 14 months, and then I finally turned myself in. Little Marty is, he's the glue that holds our whole family together. He looks up to his brother Tanner in a huge way. And he also is the big brother to his now younger brother. I can't imagine life without my son.